Have you ever looked at an advert on TV or online and thought it was really cool? Have you ever looked at other adverts and thought that they were absolutely rubbish or even offensive? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this video we'll be talking about 10 big marketing blunders you don't expect from big companies like Airbnb, Snapchat, or even Coca-Cola. Make sure to watch till the end if you want to be surprised. One of the companies on the list lost $1 billion thanks to their blunder. Without further ado, let's start going through this list. Number 10. The Airbnb Floating World Email. In August of 2017, Airbnb, one of the largest online house sharing and holiday rental companies, shared what should have been an innocent email blast to all their subscribers. The email was titled Floating Homes, Waterfall Slides, and More Reasons to Travel, and featured images of various floating homes across the Airbnb network. Further subheadings such as Stay Above Water were also part of the pushed email, enticing people to get out and enjoy a new way to vacation. In normal times, the email blast should have gone down well. It seemed well put together with great images and some very interesting offers. Unfortunately, it was pushed out only days after Hurricane Harvey had destroyed much of Houston, leaving 9 people dead and tens of thousands of people homeless, living in shelters. The company was forced to publicly apologize for the inappropriate ad and removed it immediately. To be fair, Airbnb did make contributions to the disaster relief by activating their disaster response program. Number 9. The Ford Figo Ad. According to Ford's marketing development and the WPP, the ad company that came up with the idea said that this campaign wasn't supposed to ever go live and be seen by anyone. It's not hard to see why. Back in 2013, the United States were in the middle of a sustained period of violence and abuse against women. So, it would make sense that nobody with a logical mind would come up with an ad featuring images of 3 women tied up, gagged, and thrown in the back of a Ford Figo, just to show how roomy the trunk of the new car was, right? Wrong. 2 images were created by the ad company highlighting just that. The first featured former Italian premier Silvio Berlusconi with 3 scantily clad women tied up in the back of his Figo. The second followed the same idea, but had Paris Hilton in the driver's seat and the Kardashians tied up in the back, and Kim Kardashian wearing nothing but a very skimpy bikini. Insensitive is an understatement. Ford was forced to apologize profusely and reported that those involved have been dealt with appropriately. Number 8. The Nivea White is Purity campaign. Nivea wanted to highlight their newest deodorant, designed specifically for women, that was designed not to stain white clothes. All of which is well and good, until you base your new campaign on the slogan that white is pure, inferring that anything else is not. Couple this with the fact that the new campaign was being launched in the Middle East, and you don't have to be very smart to see the problems stacking up in front of you. To be fair, the ad did go down incredibly well with one group in particular, the white supremacist ones, who apparently loved it, as you might imagine. Nivea apologized and withdrew the ad. However, it's not the first time the brand found itself in hot water over racial issues. In 2011, Nivea launched a campaign focused on an image of a black American man ripping off a tribal mask, with the slogan, "Re-civilize yourself." Number 7. The Snapchat Would You Rather ad. Just when you thought companies couldn't get any more ridiculous with their adverts, along came Snapchat to knock it right out of the ballpark. In 2018, Snapchat ran an advert for their latest game they were featuring heavily on the app, called Would You Rather. It asked a question of anyone looking at the ad if you would rather punch Chris Brown or slap Rihanna. If you simply considered that on its own, you'd have to say it would be pretty irresponsible at the very least. However, when you also consider that Chris Brown had previously been Rihanna's boyfriend and been arrested for attacking her, the ad becomes a beacon for violence against women. It also costed Snapchat a reported $1 billion in market value. Number 6. The Adidas Boston Marathon email. In 2017, German sportswear company Adidas were the main sponsors of the Boston Marathon for one of their biggest events of the year, being the 121st running of the marathon. Everything was going well. Adidas were looking as though they had just capped off a great marketing campaign, until they started sending out congratulatory emails to all the runners. Unfortunately, the email subject line was, "Congrats, you survived the Boston Marathon." Normally this would not be a problem, but as we all know, the Boston Marathon was the subject of a terrorist attack in 2013, where 3 people were killed and hundreds were injured. You'll understand, this was not the right subject line to use at that moment. Number 5. The Gap's failed brand redesign. Gap, the iconic retailer of beige clothing and other simple pastel-toned garments, decided it needed a rebrand in October of 2010. For 24 years, the company had been recognized worldwide with the simple Gap wording on a blue square background. On the 9th of October in 2010, it changed. The original logo had been replaced with a more modern font in black, with a small blue square now sitting over the small case letter P. The new logo received almost immediate negative backlash from everyone, who were taken aback by the change. Within the first 6 days, the company had reverted to their original 24-year-old logo. Some 11 years on from that disaster, Gap's fortunes have not improved. They have now closed all of their shops in the UK and Ireland, leaving only a small online presence. The brand is still iconic, but perhaps for all the wrong reasons. Number 4. Sony's black and white ad. Back in 2006, Sony was in the process of launching their new ceramic white PlayStation Portable. The concept behind the ad campaign was quite straightforward and should not have caused any major issues. The message behind the ad was simply, "White is coming." But they decided to make their main campaign image that of a tall white female model with bleached white hair, forcefully gripping the jaw of a smaller black woman. At best, the image was badly thought out. At worst, it was potentially nothing less than blatantly racist. What's worse is that any normal company would have withdrawn the image immediately. But Sony doubled down on the image, spending days defending it as something other than possibly racist. Number 3. The Colgate Kitchen Entrees campaign. Colgate is known around the world for its high quality and incredibly successful range of toothpaste. The company is one of the oldest in the world, having been formed in 1806. So, you'd think the guys in charge of Colgate would have a really good idea of what works for the business and what doesn't. Which leaves you wondering who on earth ever came up with the idea of having Colgate try to introduce a range of ready-made frozen meals. Quite how you take a brand recognized worldwide for keeping your mouth fit and healthy, from toothpaste to something that's going to leave your mouth anything but fit and healthy, is not clear. Number 2. Calvin Klein's Sex Sells campaign to minors. So, pretty much everyone knows Calvin Klein's underwear. But did you know that the brand's Sex Sells campaign in 1995 ended up with an investigation by the FBI into possible child porn allegations? Klein had already aired a campaign with older models that featured scantily clad young men and women in pretty much only their Calvin Klein underwear. The campaign alone managed to rile many people who thought it was totally inappropriate. However, this version was clearly aimed at underage children. Indeed, the ad images featured under 18 models in very suggestive poses, showing their underwear. In response, the company stated it was taken aback by the criticism and the claims by the FBI, perhaps not taken aback as much as those looking at the ads. Number 1 on our list, the new Coke. If you own what is probably the most iconic brand in the world, why would you want to change it? As they say, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Yet that's exactly what Coca-Cola did in 1985 and ended up breaking their own brand, badly. Coke at that time had been facing some fierce advertising broadsides from their biggest rival, Pepsi. But there seemed no way that anyone would ever topple Coke from its lofty position as number 1 in the soda industry. But Pepsi had other ideas, starting with the Pepsi Challenge. This was a blind test where a person would be filmed drinking 2 different cola brands. One would be Pepsi and the other Coke. To everyone's surprise, Pepsi started coming out on top, something also picked up on by the Coke management team. So shocked were they that they decided the business would need to do something drastic to ensure Coke stayed at number 1. So, on April 23, 1985, Coca-Cola launched New Coke, stopping the usage of the classic recipe it had used for the past 99 years. Indeed, executives even went so far as to lock the original recipe away in a bank vault in Atlanta, Georgia, hoping it would never see the light of day again. But within months, Coke was forced to withdraw the New Coke and go back to classic Coke, accepting that it wasn't so much the taste, but the fact that the Coke brand had gotten old, with Pepsi appealing to younger drinkers more than Coke. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that notification bell for more interesting videos about marketing.